We're back from Australia, and we are live in Chicago, Illinois for Monday Night Raw. My name is Marcus Stewart, and welcome to Call It in the Ring. I'm breaking down Monday Night Raw, the October 8th episode of 2018. What a big show this was, and let's not even waste any time. Let's just get to it, because we kick things off with a bang with a butthurt Triple H and Shawn Michaels coming out to the ring, not happy about how Super Showdown wrapped up, rather bittersweet, because despite Triple H winning the match, The Undertaker and Kane turned on them, I guess, sort of. They showed respect to each other, but then Taker and Kane were like, nah, and proceeded to lay DX out. Triple H talks about how he has more or less lost all respect for the Brothers of Destruction after this, and how respect in this industry as a whole is just not where it used to be. Shawn gets on the mic and talks about how for all these years he spent the last 8.5 years staying retired out of respect for The Undertaker, but that respect is now ceases to be. So what's gonna go down is that at Crown Jewel, they are gonna have another match, but this time it's going to be The Undertaker and Kane taking on Triple H and Shawn Michaels, D-Generation X, which means that Shawn Michaels is coming out of retirement for this tag team match. And I was waiting for the other twists to drop, because, Triple H does the Are You Ready? And then, they tear their t-shirts off, and you see new DX shirts underneath. The DX music plays. Even with all that, I still have a very hard time believing that Shawn is going to wrestle. And I have mixed feelings about that. So Shawn Michaels is my favorite wrestler of all time. And I've always admired that he stayed retired after WrestleMania 26. Because, there's no way you can ever top that retirement match. Going out in a classic in the main event of WrestleMania against one of the greatest of all time in The Undertaker. Like, what a storybook way to end that, to end one of the best careers of all time. So for Shawn to come back, and he's not coming back full time or anything like that. I think. Not full time, but I don't even think he's coming back part time. It looks like I would imagine it's just this match. Just for a tag match, or of all the ways that Shawn could come back to in a kind of meaningless tag match, because again, it really doesn't matter which team wins this match, because all four guys are beyond needing to win at this point. Shawn's in the Hall of Fame, for God's sake. And I know this is weird, but he's bald now. He's totally bald. I don't want to see a bald Shawn Michaels. That's just a weird look, seeing Shawn in his old gear with no hair. That just aesthetically, that bothers me. So I'm not super jazzed about this. Just the idea of really? That's what you come back for? He could do what he wants. It's his career. I'm not telling him, but I don't know, if the only match I would have ever been okay with for him to come back for, it's kind of the match that everyone or most people have been wanting for a few years now, and that's the dream match against AJ Styles. That would be the only one I would raise an eyebrow and go, okay, if you're gonna come back for something, I would like to see that first time ever. And it would at least have more of a purpose, because it could be used to put AJ over. So I don't know. I'm still waiting, even though they have the graphic and they kept talking about it throughout the night of this is happening. I don't know. For just a part of me that still thinks something's going to happen where Shawn does not wrestle in this match, and it's a big ruse. I don't know, maybe Undertaker and Kane take him out beforehand. I don't know. It's a crazy announcement, but I have mixed feelings about it. So we'll see how this shakes out. Our first match of the night is Kevin Owens taking on Bobby Lashley. Lio Rush is with Lashley. And this is a very interesting match because as soon as the match starts, Lio grabs a mic and he spends the entire match being a hype man, which is his position, and being very obnoxious about it in a very heelish way. He's talking about how everyone in Chicago should be cheering for Lashley. He's trying multiple times to start a Lashley chant, like, come on, guys, Bobby Lashley, 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 Lashley. Come on. And then just ripping on Kevin Owens, saying that Kevin's not athletic and all this stuff. And the entire time, of course, Chicago is giving Lio hell for this. And by association, Bobby Lashley, who's wrestling a bit more intensely. And Kevin is wrestling like the good guy. He is totally, he's got like a face style in here and he's getting cheered. And this was a heel turn for Bobby. It was kind of came out of nowhere. I know Michael Cole, he mentioned that apparently on social media, like, I guess over the weekend or the last week, Bobby tweeted that there was going to be a change. So I guess that's where the seed was planted. But still, literally just the night before, he was teaming with the biggest good guy, maybe of all time, in John Cena, and all smiles. And then now the next night, he's like, fuck the world. I'm the best. But I can't say it was bad because Lio is, he has an annoying voice. He has a very distinct voice and it's very annoying. And it just got under everyone's skin perfectly. And also, why not? Lashley wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire as a face anyway. A lot of that has to do with WWE's presentation of him since he came back. But why not? He's got an annoying little twerp of a manager. Use that. Get Bobby hated. And I didn't watch really much of any of Bobby's TNA work, but I know that he was a heel for a big part of it. And I've heard pretty good things about his heel run there. So maybe he's got the chops to pull it off here, especially with a mouthpiece like Lio in the corner. Lashley wins the match after targeting KO's knee at the end of it. And then after the match, him and Lio go to leave, and KO is just kind of holding his knee, just hurt in the ring. And then Leo's like, hey, go back, go get him. I guess he's mad because during the match, KO tried to grab Lio and got his hands on him before Bobby saved him. So Bobby goes back in and just viciously starts ramming Kevin's legs into the ring post and just trying to hurt him. So yeah, like I said, straight heel stuff. So I'm excited to see Bobby Lashley as a villain, and Lio Rush whenever he gets his will be very satisfying. We get the announcement of the World Cup, which is going to be basically a 8-man tag match at Crown Jewel between Raw and SmackDown, which means that at Survivor Series they can't say that the only time of year that SmackDown and Raw clash in head-to-head competition, because they're doing it here. But I kind of hope they do it at Survivor Series, just so like you literally just for the inaccuracy of that statement would be hilarious. But yeah, it's a 4-on-4 Raw vs SmackDown tag match, and I don't think it's anything other than that. It was a weird kind of match announcement. Like, I don't think there's anything on the line other than bragging rights. But John Cena is in the match, and he's going to be on the Raw side, which, I mean, because there's going to be qualifying matches in the coming weeks for everyone else to fill the spots, but John Cena is on the team instantly because he's John Cena, and he's on Raw because he's a free agent. So I was wondering, like, well, what show is he going to be on? He can just go where he wants. So yeah, he's on Raw. So that's the thing that they're going to be building towards. Cool, I guess. It's almost like a miniature version of the World X Cup that TNA did like 12 years ago, however long it was. Finn Balor and Bayley are talking about the mixed match challenge in an interview, and then Lio Rush and Lashley interrupt, and again, just to further establish themselves as freshly minted douchebags, talking about how, we need to talk about Lashley, because Lashley's the best. No one cares about Finn Balor and Bayley. And it's like, okay. So, yep, more of them. Speaking of loudmouth jerks, we go to Elias in the ring. He is gives us his weekly song making fun of Australia, John Cena's hair, and then rips on the Chicago Cubs, which gets a big negative response from the crowd. Not quite to the epic proportion of Seattle, but still pretty harsh. And then he's interrupted by Ronda Rousey, of all people. And nothing comes of this. Ronda Rousey just comes out for her tag match, a rematch from Super Showdown. Not the first of two, where we get the Riot Squad taking on Rousey and the Bella Twins. Not much to say about this match other than it started with a big brawl between Liv Morgan and Brie Bella. They're really playing up the Liv's injury at the hands of Brie with this, which I like. But other than that, this was a pretty standard stuff. Rousey picked up the win after locking the armbar on Ruby and got the tap out. And then after the match, the Riot Squad bails. The Bella Twins and Ronda Rousey are celebrating arm in arm. And then Nikki decks Ronda from behind, and we get a double beatdown. We get another heel turn. The Bellas just start stomping away on Ronda, and Ronda is helpless, or as helpless as a former undefeated UFC champion can be. She does turn it around a bit when she gets to her feet. She takes them both outside and tries to go after Brie, but then Nikki shoves her into the ring post. They're throwing her around the barricade and into the stairs, and then they drag her by her hair back into the ring to pose with the title, Nikki specifically, as they got their feet on her. And there it is. So it was later confirmed that night that we will indeed get Ronda Rousey defending the Raw Women's Championship against Nikki Bella at Evolution in about 3 weeks. So yeah, like I said last night for Super Showdown, that they should probably should be getting a hard confirmation about that rumored match soon. I was like, oh, there it is. So yeah, this is fine. The Bellas have always been, at least to me, more natural heels, especially Nikki. I still have a hard time buying Nikki as any real threat to Ronda, though having her sister in her corner certainly helps. At least they can get by sheer numbers advantage. So yeah, this is fine. Just whatever. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. Maybe they'll surprise me. Bayley and Finn Balor team up to take on the Mahalisha, which is the team of Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox. This is just some mixed match challenge story building. This was a nothing match with the faces, Finn Balor getting the win with the coup de grace on Jinder Mahal. Nothing to say there. Backstage, we see Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre just kind of fuming in their locker room because they are mad that they lost to the Shield at Super Showdown. Dolph is trying to hype up the other two, saying like, hey, let's just get ready, let's do it, just trying to get everyone motivated, and Braun and Drew are not having any of it. And then Drew stops Dolph in his tracks and reminds him that Dolph was the one that got pinned, not them. So instead of trying to tell them what to do, maybe you should focus on not sucking, basically. And then Braun says that he's tired of both of them and that they both need to focus because their job was to protect him so that he can win the Universal title, because that will be better for all of them. So everybody just needs to get their shit together. And that's like some trouble in paradise in the BD&D camp. BD&D? Yeah. BD&D. Baron Corbin comes out to kick off the World Cup Battle Royale, and what it's going to be is going to be a Battle Royal with the winner earning a spot on the Raw team alongside John Cena. The ring is filled with a bunch of racial stereotypes, basically. They're all jobbers, and they're all just dressed up like we got an Egyptian guy that likes falafels or whatever the hell it was. We got a Mexican dude, or who wasn't actually Mexican, it's just a white dude in a Mexican mask, but he's representing Mexico. We got a guy from Luxembourg, and Corbin does this because he cuts a promo saying that, he could just add himself to the match, but he wants to show that he doesn't have to do such things, that he can earn it. So he's going to do so by winning this battle royale, and he goes down the line introducing every single competitor. I didn't write down any of their names, but they were all hilarious and dumb. I think the Luxembourg guy was named like Thunder something. I don't know. His first name was Thunder, which is pretty great. The white Mexican dude got a surprisingly mild pop from Chicago. I don't know if he's like a local star and they just know who he is. And then the most interesting competitor is we got a conquistador. Remember the conquistadors? If you don't know the conquistadors, they were a tag team way back in the day. Way back in the day. It was like these two guys. They were built from being Spain, and they just wore these all gold bodysuits. Like, that's it. Like, just a gold mask, gold bodysuit, and they more or less look like Oscar trophies, but from Spain. And the gimmick was revived in the Attitude Era when Edge and Christian, when they were feuding with the Hardy Boys, they posed it as the Conquistadors because they lost a match. They lost their titles to the Hardy in a stipulation saying that as long as the Hardys were champions, they could not get a rematch. So they pretended to be the Conquistadors to kind of find a loophole and get a match for the titles. But then the Hardys turned it around on them and then found out what was going on and then dressed up the Conquistadors themselves, which was referenced by the commentators, which I thought was a nice little touch when they were speculating as which conquistador it was. They were asking if it was the original ones or if it was Edge and Christian or Matt and Jeff. But this battle royal starts. Everyone gangs up on Corbin. Doesn't last long. Corbin just systematically starts eliminating them all one by one, except for the conquistador, who at the beginning of the match slid under the bottom rope, which does not count as an elimination. You got to go over the top rope to be eliminated, and he just kind of chills on the floor next to the commentators table, just hanging out. And it gets down to the Luxembourg guy, Thunder, whatever, Mr. Thunder, but he gets a claw on Corbin. It does not work. Corbin tosses him with ease, and Corbin thinks he's won the match. He's in pure British Bulldog at the 95 Royal Rumble, thinking like, I've done it. But then the Conquistador plays the role of Shawn Michaels, coming back into the ring, and then starts beating the hell out of Corbin, and he does some rolling German suplexes, and then he hits a very familiar Olympic slam, and then clotheslines Corbin to the floor, giving the Conquistador the upset victory. Corbin is shocked, he's sitting out there, and then the Conquistador pulls his mask off, and as you might have guessed, it's one Kurt Angle, the ex-general manager, who has been on leave since Stephanie forced him into vacation. He is now back, and he is now team member number 2 in the World Cup tag match. This was a nice surprise. I liked it. I did not expect it. I did not even consider that would be anyone of note, let alone Angle, until he hit the Angle slam. Like, he did the Germans, and then I was like, oh, okay, that's more offense. And then when he hit the Angle slam, of course, that was the giveaway. And then I noticed that the Conquistador was wearing, like, Kurt's sneakers, like his black boot sneakers, whatever they are. And then I noticed that before, but I just didn't make anything of it. I just thought, like, oh, well, all these gimmicks are crappy and they all have terrible outfits, so maybe they couldn't even bother to get the Conquistador some actual gold boots, which would fit the thing, so I didn't even bat an eyelid at that. But then as it became clear, I'm like, oh wow, like that was telegraph right there. Like, so they legitimately got me with that, so well done. Backstage, Angle is leaving, and he gets interviewed. They're asking like, hey, how does it feel to be back? And he's like, well, technically I'm actually still on vacation, and then gives a very adorable wink, which was I thought that was a pretty funny and cute moment. Our next match, Ember Moon taking on her friend Nia Jax. This is just a pure exhibition match between two besties. Nia dominates a lot of the match, just ragdolling Ember around. But Ember's, kind of sticks and moves. And then eventually they head outside and they're battling. And then Nia messes up by trying to charge into Nia, but then Nia trying to charge into Ember. But then Ember sidesteps her, and Nia goes hard, like rams into the LED ring skirt, just bam, like a car hitting a brick wall. Like the ring didn't move. I was like, ooh, God, I hope she's okay. And then that gives Ember the count out win. I like Ember Moon. I've liked her a lot. She needs a more discernible character outside of just a regular girl that kind of dresses weird. I kind of miss when she first debuted in NXT, when she was vaguely supernatural. I don't like she never displayed any actual like powers like the Undertaker, but there was like an element of like mystique to her, like she might be, especially with like the contacts and the entrance. Whereas since then, she's kind of just like a chick, kind of a plucky girl that just really likes outlandish outfits. So I would like to see more like that, more of a character from Ember, but I still like her line. She's an athletic beast. So after the match, Nia congratulates her. The whole time they're doing this, like they like hug and everything, and I'm like, oh my god, are they gonna have a third heel turn tonight? Like I was like, they wouldn't. Like they literally just did this. Like, is Nia gonna just crush Ember? But that does not happen, thankfully. But man, that would have been hysterical. Like this is just the night of 1,000 heel turns. So our next segment brings us Trish Stratus, WWE Hall of Famer, 7-time women's champion, one of the best women's wrestlers ever. I've always been a fan of Trish. And she hits the ring to talk about her upcoming, I guess, kind of dream match against Alexa Bliss at Evolution. She addresses the Moment of Bliss segment, basically saying like more like a moment of BS. And just kind of starts to rip on Alexa a bit until Alexa, with her tag-along extraordinaire, Mickie James, flanking her. And then Alexa starts to rip on Trish, saying that she grew up watching her, but then she realized now that she sucked. It's like she straight up said that. Like she like realized, like, looking back, you sucked. Like you weren't even that great. And then Trish turns it around, ripping on her, one, because her math last week was off, which it really was, when she was talking about how old she was when she met Trish. So she rips on her for that, and it's like, and then she follows that up by saying, but it's no surprise for you to come up a bit short. Of course, talking about how just almost ungodly tiny Alexa Bliss is. Though at least she's not Zelina Vega, who I'm still convinced is just a hair smaller than Alexa, I'm sorry. And these two get kind of catty with each other, but they're both very, very good at being catty. Because both of them are very sarcastic and venomous, I guess, which is why I was excited to see these two interact. Because, like I've said before, Alexa is very, very much a modern day Trish. Like her demeanor, her mannerisms, just even her promo style is very Trish Stratus, specifically heel Trish Stratus. If you did not watch during Trish's time in the 2000s, you would understand why they put these two together. The Trish challenges them to get in the ring, and Mickie and Alexa are like, sure. And then Mickie brings up that, when it comes to her and Trish, bad things only happen in Chicago. Of course, referencing the WrestleMania 2 or WrestleMania 22 showdown in Chicago, where Mickie defeated Trish for the Women's Championship and ended Trish's year-long reign at that point. And this is when Mickie was still pretty brand new to the company, and that was the best women's match easily in WrestleMania history for a long time, until the I'd say probably until the triple threat at Mania 20 or Mania 32 10 years later. So I like that they brought that up, because I was waiting for it. It's like, you can't not bring that up. You're in the same building. And the bad guys offer to have a tag match at Evolution instead, with Mickie and Alexa teaming up against Trish. And then Trish says, well, sure, that sounds great. And then, just like, well, who could I possibly get to be my partner? I mean, who could it be? Who would Trish Stratus choose to partner with her? Because there's only one real answer. And then that real answer came out to the ring. It was Lita, of course. And then we get a big old brawl with the good guys clearing out the bad guys. And I was surprised, because originally the matches that were announced were going to be Alexa versus Trish 101, and another match was where we're going to get Lita taking on Mickie James 101. Like, this was advertised as late as the Super Showdown when they were running through the crowd. So I'm wondering why that was changed. Like, I don't know if one of the women are maybe hurt or not 100% in some way, that they need a tag match to kind of to have a partner kind of help carry them a bit. Or whatever it was. This works too, but I would have liked to see Trish versus Alexa 101. And I was actually kind of cool with seeing Lita and Mickie, because that has a story, because if you remember, Mickie was the one that retired Lita back in 2006, her retirement match. So there was some history there, but a tag match can still be really fun. I'm just really curious as to why that was changed. So, in a really cool moment, we get an old school style Shield promo. They have the handheld camera. It's black and white. The camera's on the ground to start, and you just see feet. And then they pick it up, and it's the Shield. And they cut like the promos they used to cut back when those three guys first debuted as the Shield in the company, or at least on the main roster because they were in NXT. But they passed the camera around. They're all cutting their little things, talking about justice and how they're a brotherhood, and it was really cool to see this again. I kind of popped the bit. I was like, oh man, that's right. I remember these. And, they do the, believe in the Shield, all that good stuff. So, nice little callback with that. Our next match is the Ascension, taking on Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. This is the next chapter in the epic feud of these teams. Though it's been epic because Connor of the Ascension has beaten both of these guys in back-to-back weeks in singles competition, and the Ascension never win anything ever, like nothing. They don't win crap. They're just... I've probably won more matches on Monday Night Raw than the Ascension has, so it's been epic to see them actually get a victory, albeit in singles competition and only with one of them. But Connor talks about how the Ascension are going to murder them basically and take them to the wasteland. And this is just a completely nothing tag match, though at the end, Bobby Roode has the match seemingly won, but Gable, who's very much still enthusiastic about just being in Bobby's general presence, tags himself in, hits his rolling chaos theory German suplex to get the pin. Bobby's a little like, what the hell, but also, well, can't argue with the results. And then immediately after the match, the Authors of Pain, the AOP, rush the ring. Like, they sprint to the ring. They run over Connor, who's still outside, which I was kind of like, it's like you guys have it seemed like they were building up Connor as a single star, so for him to kind of get treated as an afterthought in that way was kind of it's like that seems counterproductive, but maybe they're not going to do anything with Connor, so who cares, I guess. But the Authors of Pain come in and they beat the crap out of the remaining three guys. They, Roode, Gable, and Victor. They do the Super Collider to Victor and Gable, and the Authors stand tall. Hey, anything that gets them to the tag title picture, which they should pretty much just be the champions at this point because there's no one around to challenge them that's a regular traditional team, so you may as well just have them do it. We get a montage of D-Generation X to remind anyone that has not been watching long enough of their antics and how they are unpredictable and trailblazers, which is Vince's favorite new word apparently for most things, especially when it comes to women. But they are trailblazers and they're very silly. Just a quick highlight reel of their shtick. Paul Heyman comes out in a surprise, and he talks about how he's just here to see the Shield and the not Shield beat the crap out of each other, and just goes on and on about how Roman and Braun are so focused about team stuff while Braun is all about himself, and he's chilling at home just watching, just getting prepped for his UFC fight and how he's going to be a 2-sport champion and all this jazz. And it's the typical Paul Heyman promo. Brock, of course, was not in the building tonight. And this brings us to our big main event, a rematch from Super Showdown, The Shield taking on Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre. And oh my God. And to quote JBL, somebody better call the sheriff because those boys just stole the show, and did they ever. This was exciting as hell. I think this was better than the Super Showdown match. Maybe it has something to do with being in front of a more lively crowd, even though the Australia fans were lively, but Chicago's always been a pretty hot crowd, especially as this match went on. This was just, if you remember watching The Shield during their original run, those 6-man tags of theirs became legendary for how exciting they would be, and this was very much a return to that form. This was just a lot of great false finishes and team maneuvers. The story throughout the match was the villains struggling to keep it together, specifically Dolph Ziggler getting his ass chewed out by Braun Strowman, and Braun just being like the angry coach for like the Little League team, like they're almost the semi-abusive coach. Like that's basically what he was. He was pretty great. And this, like, he's just yelling at Dolph to pull his weight. And there was a great point where like Dolph was struggling to, to deal with maybe Seth, I think it was. And then Braun takes it upon himself to go because he's not tagged in. He runs in the ring, takes out Dean and Roman, goes outside to grab Dolph and then drag him to the corner so that he can tag, and then screams at him of, "That's how you pull your weight. Not this crap you've been doing," and just going off and off and off. And then Dolph, like an idiot, decides to kind of mouth back and kind of touch Braun, and Braun grabs his throat, saying like, "Don't you ever touch me again." And then Drew spins Braun around and gets into his face, and that's what the crowd was really interested in, because he got these two behemoths. And, Drew McIntyre is a badass, so you got two badasses staring at each other, and we're like, okay. But then the Shield break it up. The Shield are just kind of cooking on all cylinders here, and it's, like I said, like this match, it's hard to almost break it down, because it was just so fast-paced, like things were just happening, and just a lot of false calls, and it culminates in a very surprising ending with the Shield losing, because everybody takes everybody out, and it leaves Dean alone in the ring. And then out of nowhere, like I jumped a little bit, but I was like, oh crap, like Drew hits the Claymore on Dolph with everyone else just kind of dead outside, out of nowhere, and gets a pin. And just the way the match was going, like it seemed to telegraph, like, okay, like the cracks will eventually cause the villain team to shatter, because they're just at each other's throats, whereas the Shield is very much on the same page. So we're going to get the Shield getting a second victory, and then that will be the nail in the coffin for this team, and they'll break up. But no, McIntyre gets it done, and that's a huge deal for McIntyre. Like, I'm happy for him for that, because that just made him look like a star, because he pinned the same guy that picked up the win the night before, and then beat one of the most unbeatable factions ever. After the match, the heels seemed to be okay again after the match, and then we focus on the Shield, who are in the ring looking rather dejected, and then Ambrose specifically rolls out the ring, and then he leaves on his own, leaving his brothers kind of confused and wondering like, what's wrong, but Dean just kind of leaves with his head down. He looks upset with himself. And that's how we close the show. So we're still not done with this Dean Ambrose situation of where's his head at in regards to the Shield. Does he feel like he's being held back, or maybe is he feel guilty that he was the weak link maybe in his mind? Yeah, even though he picked up the win in Australia, he also took the fall tonight. So is he just banging himself up? I don't know, but again, I think that match is easily one of the best Raw matches of the year, and I think it's worth going out of your way to look up, especially if you're a fan of the Shield and you want that classic Shield 6-man action. It brought me there. It is right there in all its glory. This was a lot of fun to watch, and that wraps up the show. So a lot of things happened on this show. You had 2 heel turns. A shocking conclusion. We got the announcement of this World Cup thing. We've got some Evolution build and some alterations there. We've got, and then Crown Jewel is shaping up overall. So I think this was an eventful show. It definitely wasn't boring. Like things were happening. So I'll give them that. But this was an easier show to sit through just because we have one less show to try to build towards. Now we only have 2. So we're working our way there. And the show is all better for it. So again, I'm still kind of mind-boggled just because of, one, the ending, and also the Shawn Michaels coming out of retirement thing. But like I said, anything can happen in wrestling, I guess. So normally the fall can be a little bit of a drag sometimes, but they're planting a lot of tantalizing storylines for the future. So a much better Raw than has been the case in recent weeks. So I can't complain. And you also can't complain. Hopefully you can't complain about this episode. So with that said, thanks for listening, guys. I will be back with my review of SmackDown Live. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the show. It's Marcus Writes About Games on iTunes, YouTube, and Podbean. You can also follow me on Twitter at MarcusStewart7. That is the number 7. And until next time, thanks for listening, wrestling fans. I'll talk to you later.